Warning, this podcast has stories of real-life events and true crime that happens every day. These stories may contain adult language and graphic or disturbing details not suitable for everyone. Listener discretion is advised.
132 in Bush, I've got him at gunpoint.
They're pulling them out.
10-1-1, advise ready for camp.
Welcome back to War Stories. I'm Tom.
And I'm Chuck.
And we are here for part 3.5. It may be two-parter. Who knows what's going to happen with this? But we've got that guy Sleazy back. Bryce, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good, buddy. How are you?
Good. And I know we've got a lot to get to, so I thought we'd just catch up on how your last couple of days have been for you, because it was just recently that we spoke to you.
Yeah. It's been good. Had a good weekend. Jumped on the bike and rode down from Tennessee to Mississippi, where I'm working right now for the week. And then later this week, I'll mosey on back up to the mountains and enjoy the cold weather that we have up there. I mean, it's upper 50s here, low 60s, but I think it's in the 30s and 40s back home. So enjoy the warmer weather while I can.
Yeah. It's in the it's going between snowing and slushing here, so it's fluctuating between like 28 at night and 34 in the afternoon.
It's like 60 degrees here.
Yeah,
must be nice.
58, 60.
No, because he's in Southern California, and Southern California is still in California.
I'll be there in the first weekend of January, so I'll be loving the nice warm weather.
Oh, well, it might get cold because last year around January, we actually, where I live, we got a fuck ton of snow and it shut down the freeway all the way down from like two small like suburb cities, and it shut down the whole fucking thing for like all day, and we had snow for like a whole week. So you might come and be like, what the fuck? This isn't this is California. It's like 25 degrees outside or 38 degrees, it got cold as shit.
I mean, it occasionally can get cold at night, especially if the higher desert you go. High desert of Los Angeles County, it'll freeze, it'll snow occasionally, like once every 6 to 8 years it'll snow there,
But
so
I'll be in San Diego,
no, not
so
every
hopefully
68.
it's warm.
It's been every couple of years. So 2 years in a row it snowed. 3 years in a row it snowed, and then we had a break for like a year and a half, and then we got snow last year. Right.
So here's the thing. I lived down there, and I know now what snow is, and that was not snow.
Well, I mean, California snow. It's not comparable. You know what I mean?
It's like Texas snow.
Right. Well, they did have Snowmageddon, and nobody knew what to do, right?
Yeah.
That was actually really bad.
Yeah.
I was
anyway. Yeah. So we are back for part 3 and whatever else it takes to get some of the rest of this stuff, because now you have, for those of you, again, we'll catch you up. You joined the Marine Corps, spent your time in the Marine Corps, getting shafted by recruiters, not seeing an ounce of combat. Finally get out of the Marine Corps, get a wild hair to go back in the Marine Corps. Girl prevents you from going back to the Marine Corps or going as a PMC. So you still got the wild hair up your butt. And so when the girl finally goes, things kick off with Russia invading Ukraine, and you said to yourself, well, this looks like the last opportunity I'll get. And you flew yourself to Poland, spent several months once you got into Ukraine training Ukrainian citizens to be like citizen soldiers and also to do
as well as military units as well. Yeah.
Right. So you're training up both civilian and military personnel. And then finally we get to the part where you said you linked up with the 59th. So what's the 59th?
So 59th is just 59th Mechanized Brigade out of Mykolaiv. At least at the time when I was there, I believe like their home base is the Mykolaiv region of Ukraine, which is going to be down by the Black Sea, south, kind of just past Odessa. If you're going east, it's like an hour and a half past Odessa. But it's just Mechanized Brigade. Oh, okay. Odessa, Ukraine, or Odessa, Texas?
No, Odessa, Ukraine.
Oh, bet. Yeah, it's beautiful there. I loved it.
My grandmother was born in Zhytomyr.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I remember you saying that. Yeah, but
So,
but yeah, so we did some training, medical training out there for different combat medics and stuff, and I was able to link up with the 59th Brigade, and there were several other foreigners that were getting ready to join them. So we did basically our in processing in Ternopil, Ukraine. So we had to go all the way back west. Like I think the train is 18-hour train ride or something like that. It's literally a complete opposite sides of the country.
You were training military personnel and civilians to go and fight, and then you link up with a unit, the 59th, and then they send you back to basically what's called MEPS for us out here. And you've already been kind of training these people, and then they're like, hey, by the way, you still got to go do this shit. And you're like, come on, man. Like, I was teaching you people what to do, and now you're sending me back to go to freaking MEPS. Like, I get it, but like, you're like, God dang, this is kind of ass backwards. You know what I mean?
One thing that I've learned is it doesn't matter what country you're in, there's bureaucracy inside the military, and it's all the same. It's all hurry up and wait.
We talk about that on the show all the time.
Yeah, it's literally like, hey man, here's your orders. Go sit next to that door and wait for somebody to open it. You know, and literally you're just sitting there until somebody opens the door and says, "Oh no, you're at the wrong door. You need to go to that door."
Yeah, story of my life, dude. Like you know, fuck.
Yeah, exactly. But that's one thing I did learn. It didn't matter whether I was in, the United States Marine Corps or the Ukrainian military. There is still a lot of the exact same military bureaucracy. It's wild. But yeah,
it's government service.
Exactly. Yeah. So
and you guys get the best equipment, right?
Yeah, the best Soviet equipment.
Yeah. After you get done talking about the whole MEPS thing, can you go in and talk about what the military, just so people have an understanding before you start talking, what the military equipment there was like, the vehicles,
how you got gear and what
weapons, the gear, the medical aid?
Yeah. So I actually have two different versions of that because I have two different completely things that happened to me because of my two deployments. So I'll go over. Yeah, so I'll go over the first one for being in my first deployment, and then the second course for the second time. But so yeah, go all the way back to Ternopil, which is far west Ukraine, just outside of Lviv, and spent a week there in a hostel, doing my paperwork. Basically sitting there. Gave them, my 214 from the US, told them all of my qualifications, my skill sets, everything like that, what I'd been doing in Ukraine already. And they wanted to know like what systems that I knew and everything like that. So I had to, give them all my weapon systems that I know that I can accurately use and know how the weapon works essentially. But then we also did a medical exam. The psych eval was probably the best psych eval I've ever had in my life. The doctor looked at me and goes, "Are you crazy?" And I replied with, "Well, I flew from America to your country to fight the Russians. So I don't know, you tell me." And he literally just looked at me and said, "Okay." And in Ukraine, everything official has to have a blue stamp.
Right.
They're blue stamps. So, he hit the blue stamp, signed it, and said, "Okay, next." I was like, that's the easiest psych eval I've ever had in my life.
Wow. It just means that you're grounded in reality because you're aware of how crazy what you're doing is, and you're still doing it. If you were not crazy, you'd be like, this is totally normal, right?
Yeah, right.
Crazy people are the ones that think they're sane, right? Only sane people question their sanity. Crazy people never do. They know they're sane.
Yeah. No, I know crazy, so it's fine.
Exactly. You're not crazy. It's the paradox. Anyway, so you get through this psych eval. And you're trying to get basically blessed through this psych eval. You're happy with it. The doctor gives you the blue stamp.
Yeah. So then I go to and we do the eye test, and the eye test was different than what we do. Here it's just the alphabet or whatever. And there I was thinking it would just be the Cyrillic alphabet, and you just read whatever letter they have, but it wasn't. It was like up, down, triangle, skull. It was weird. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was weird.
Cryptography stuff.
Maybe, I don't know, but you still have to stand like, a certain feet away from it. You cover one eye, all that stuff. But the lady, she would point, and like you'd have to say what she was pointing at,
Like
or what
triangle
direction,
square.
kind of, or what direction it was.
Vision test. I'll bet you that's an international vision test, because you may not be able to pronounce the letter, so you may say it wrong, and they'll think your vision's not working. But if you do it with directions and shapes, everybody, regardless, can indicate direction and shape regardless of language. So I'll bet you it's an international vision test.
I don't think it was. Ukrainians were taking the exact same test, but I can tell you right now, they didn't care if you could see it or not, because my buddy, he was doing the test and he couldn't understand like what she was asking. So when she would point to something, and I'm standing kind of over by where she is at, and he's standing, however many feet off in the distance, and she would point to something, and he'd be like, and I would just say it to him. I'd be like, this. And he'd be like, he would repeat exactly what I said, and she'd be like, good. And then she'd hit the next one, and then he'd be like, I would say it again. I'd say what that one is, and then he would repeat it, and she'd go, good. And we did that for his whole test. Wow. So I don't think she really cared if we could see it or not. It was more of just a formality type deal. But yeah, hilarious. So we do that. Yeah, so we do that whole medical thing all day long, whatever, and it actually wasn't even all day. It was maybe 2 hours. It was the quickest in-processing medical I've ever had. Like, we skipped to the front of all the lines and everything. It was super cool, easy. And then we had to wait for them to like type up our contracts and stuff. And, we had to do an interview with the guy that was typing up our contracts and stuff. And he was asking me, he was like, what's your skill set and everything like that. Basically everything that I'd already filled out. But now he's typing it and translating it into Ukrainian for my orders. And he asked me, he goes, have you ever been deployed? Have you ever, fought in a war? And I said, no. And he goes, have you been deployed? And I was like, no, I haven't. He goes, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. And I was like, no, none of those. Right. And he looked at me and he goes, Iraq, Afghanistan. And like, he's just like staring at me. And I was like, no, man, I've never been deployed, just a lot of training. And he goes, Afghanistan? Question mark? And I'm like, yes.
Sure.
Yes. Sure. Afghanistan. I've been to Afghanistan. He was
right.
like, perfect. Starts typing away. That I was like, dude, whatever you need me to say so you can just fill out this contract and get me in, like, let's do it.
Yeah, he's probably nudging you that way.
The right way.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what he was doing. He was like, "Hey, man, like, I need something. Like, say it,
bro. Just say it.
Like 29 palms.
Yeah.
Okinawa.
Right. So do that one day, and then it was really just playing the waiting game, for contracts to come in after everything was submitted. I think we waited 4 days, something like that. And while waiting, got to meet some other foreigners that were there doing contract stuff. A lot of people from America, obviously, a few people from England and Canada. And then surprisingly, I met probably like 10 or 15 guys from South America. Like, it was crazy. Yeah, they were there to fight alongside Ukraine.
Like, where from South America?
I want to say a few of them were from Cuba, but I could be full of shit. But I want to say
the way to get their freedom. Like, we go fight, we disappear.
But but Cubans technically would fight on the Putin side of the fence, theoretically.
Theoretically, right? Yeah,
interesting. Interesting.
I want to say Cuba, but I also could also be full of shit. But I do know that they were all, South American, Spanish-speaking people. A few of them from Mexico, but for the most part, South America.
Right.
But then there was this one American that I met. The dude is probably dead now. And I'm completely okay with saying this because he's a complete fucking retard. So he was in the USA for 2 years. He did artillery, got kicked out because he was a drunk, and literally was pushed out of the army because he was a drunk. 2 years in the army, that's nothing. You know, by the time you go through boot camp, your job school, and then you hit the fleet, or I think the Army calls it the Big A, you know, the operating forces.
Right.
You know, he could have only been active duty for no more than 6 to 8
A year and a
months.
half. Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm thinking. You know, after artillery school and boot camp and everything like that, you know, I would think boot camp, artillery school, and everything
Well, a lot of
take
the
about a
Army stuff
year.
is like, it's like 2.5 months or something like that, or 3 months, and then they do their A
Yeah.
school inside of their boot camp, which is another like month maybe.
That's right. That's
And so they probably did like 4 months of training. It's not like us where we do, you know, we do the boot camp, then we go home
right.
for a week, do recruiters assistants, go back, go to SOI and go either ITB or MCT, and then we leave there, and then we go to our school, and then you have to wait to pick up, and you know, there's a lot
Right.
less
So
of that stuff because it's all
so
integrated.
yeah, so at most, you know, he was in the Army for a year, maybe a year and a half, and I think that's
Right.
pushing it. Year and a half is pushing him actually doing his job and stuff in the Army. So he doesn't know shit. He's
Right.
he's clueless. But you know, he comes over to Ukraine to help out with artillery systems and, you know, mortars and stuff like that. Hey man, good for you. You're doing a good job. Good deed. Well, first he joins the International Legion. Goes to the front lines and ends up getting kicked out of the International Legion and arrested by the Ukrainian police for being a drunk. Yeah, he was on the front lines, a drunk on the front lines, and
Fucking amazing. What the fuck?
yeah, ends up getting caught like stealing stuff, and then he supposedly pissed all over like a commander's sleeping quarters or something like that. Don't quote me on exactly. Don't quote me exactly where he pissed, but I do know he pissed all over something. Yeah, he pissed all over something. But then he ends up, you know, they detain him, right, and then they locked him in a room. He ends up escaping out of the window.
Whoa.
Going, and you know, he's in full military uniform. He goes to like one of the neighbor houses or neighboring somewhere, dresses up in women's clothing to get away from the police and stuff like that. And now he's with us in Ternopil trying to get a contract. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Wow.
this dude, I talked to him, and he was a drunk even there. Like, you know, he was at the hotel all the time getting completely liquored up, or he would go to the gas station or the market and just buy beers and liquor, and the dude was always drunk. But he changed his religion, like
going running from something.
Yeah. Well, he changed his religion like 6 or 7 times in 1 year. He didn't. Anytime he talked, he was completely talking out of his ass. Like he would contradict himself on everything that he would say. Like it was wild.
Wow.
He also, I think, was supposedly a medic at one point, but he misspelt medic on his plate carrier.
Oh, shit.
Like it was. Don't ask me how you do that, but he did.
Wow.
But it was all kinds of shit. But you know, I get my contract. I leave with some other guys. He was trying to come to our unit, but we were all like, nah, man, that dude ain't coming. So we talked to the commander, and the commander didn't have him come with us. So I don't know what unit he went like that, but he ended up going somewhere, and he was somewhere with some unit or militia for several months, if like probably about eight months or so. And I don't necessarily know why he originally left, but I have a feeling it has something to do with him getting kicked out again, or was about to start facing charges from the SBU in Ukraine. And so he somehow ends up defecting and makes his way to Russia. And he told this Russian reporter that and the Russian government that he was a spy, and he'd always believed in communism and socialism and
Oh my God.
all this crazy shit. And he supposedly had all this documentation about where supply houses are, where military headquarters are, you know, all these plans that Ukraine has in the military, like stuff that your normal ground infantrymen would not have, like
Right.
commander level stuff. And he supposedly wrote it all down and had it memorized and defected over to Russia to give it all to the Russian military. And he was seeking asylum in Russia and stuff. It was, I don't know where the video is. I've seen it several times, but there's a video of him and, you know, walking in the Red Square and at like this little coffee shop in the Red Square talking to this reporter. The dude doesn't know any Russian, by the way. Zero.
Okay.
Zero Russian. But even at one point, this reporter asked him, he goes, oh, because he started talking about how the CIA was in Ukraine and helping Ukraine and stuff like that. And this reporter goes, well, how do you know that? And he goes, well, I met a guy from the CIA. He told me he was from the CIA and what he was doing there and all this stuff. I was like, first off, if some dude was actually there from the CIA, he didn't tell you he was there from the CIA. Like,
No fucking way.
That works.
Right, that's
That's not how that works.
No.
But even this reporter, he goes, well, do you know his name? He's like, yeah, of course I know his name. I remember his name. He goes, the reporter's like, well, what is it? He goes, oh man, what was his name? And the reporter's like just sitting there waiting for it. And he's like, and they're like walking in Red Square while they're doing this interview. And he's like, oh man, he goes, I can't remember it off the top of my head right now. He goes, what about a first name or a last name? Just something. And he goes, yeah. And he pulled out some fucking random name out of his ass, and I was like, you're not even believable on this interview. Even this reporter's like, yeah, you full of shit. But you know, all for the propaganda.
He's in the gulag, bro.
Oh yeah, that's why I said I think this dude's 100% dead. Like he
probably dead.
He fucked up in Ukraine, and he thought his only saving grace would be to fabricate some lies and shit like that. And defecting to Russia, which is the last place I would ever want to fucking live. No. But hey, man, to each their own. To each their own.
Yeah, for sure.
But
so
yeah,
now,
so
how do you get kitted out?
Do what?
How do you get kitted out? Right? You have your gear, right?
Right. So how does that? I brought all my own gear from the States. You know, I had my plate carrier. You know, my helmet. Battle belt, magazine pouches. I had literally everything that I needed, aside from a weapon, magazines, and ammunition.
Right.
So when I got so you know, I leave Ternopil, hit the train, head back down to Mykolaiv, get with my unit, and we go to our base. That was like this big blown out building, but it was cool. We slept on the floor for a couple months, and this blown out building had already been hit by the Russians. So there they had everything. I actually ended up getting a different plate carrier. I got a Ukrainian plate carrier, just because I didn't care for mine too much. I didn't after a few missions, it was wearing on me in a couple places that I didn't care for. So I swapped it out with one of the Ukrainian plate carriers that they had there. But literally everything there, I had all my AT weapons there. I had all my ammunition for my AK, and I was issued an AK-47 stamped 1966.
Whoa,
shit,
great.
Yeah,
so they really took care of you guys, huh?
Yeah. Well, and what's
awesome.
crazy though is this weapon was great. Like I loved my AK. Like I absolutely loved the shit out of it. Now it was a base AK, you know, iron sights, you know, every wooden stock, wooden foregrip, everything was original 1966 AK-47. But what was cool about it is, obviously, you know, they sell all kinds of conversion kits and stuff like that. They didn't care what we did to the AK. We could convert whatever we wanted to it, and they didn't care. You didn't have to ask permission. You didn't have to do anything. The weapon just had to be good and ready for mission. That's it. That was the only requirement. So some guys, you know, are getting different continual systems and folding stocks and all kinds of stuff. That way they can add their own sights and do their thing to their weapon. Me, I was getting ready to do it, but then I was just I ended up not. I ended up just sticking to just the how the AK was. I enjoyed it. Everything that we were shooting at was close enough to where iron sights was just fine. Didn't need an actual optic to look forward in advance and stuff like that.
Sure.
So I enjoyed the shit out of it. Yeah, I love it.
What other gear were they outfitting you guys with? And what was it? Was it good gear? Or was it kind of like,
So both. I mean, really both. I think the AKs were the essentially oldest, crappiest piece of equipment that we were kitted with. All of our AT weapons were brand new. We had AT spikes, had an in-law. We also mostly what we carried was the the Matadors, the Matador rockets. Is mostly the AT ones that we carried, and they're like about, I don't know, 8 pounds or so, give or take. But man, that 8 pounds adds up quick when you're carrying it for long periods of time. Like, shit. And they're not small collapsible. Like they're its full length the entire time. So it's really gets in the way and becomes a nuisance. But we had my unit had 2 Humvees with 50s on top. So around this time, have y'all heard of Knucking Futz Yuri? A lot of his videos have been seen. We've seen somebody shooting an AT-4 out of the back or out of the turret of a Humvee, like while they're going on assaults and stuff like that.
Jeez.
And at one point, he's like yelling for ammo, and the Ukrainian wasn't giving him ammo. He just kept handing AT-4s. So he just kept lobbing AT-4s when he was asking actually ammo for his 50. Have y'all seen those videos?
No, I don't think I have.
Oh, okay. So Yuri was we were not in the same unit at this time, but they would come and use our Humvees to do the striking missions while we would come in and do the ground assaults essentially. But I worked with a lot of missions with Yuri at that time, and the Humvees and everything like that. And then we also had a truck Humvee, which was more like our troop insurgent and extraction and medical transport and stuff like that. But yeah, kit overall was perfectly fine. This was the summertime in Ukraine, so we didn't need any winter jackets or anything like that. We actually had. Oh, the weather was beautiful. I think it was in like the 80s tops, mid to upper 80s tops. So it was beautiful weather. I mean, once your body gets accustomed to it, obviously that's hot. But
sure.
I'm used to, being from Texas, I'm used to 100-degree weathers, 100-degree summers. But yeah, it was nice. The only thing we didn't really have was NVGs and thermals at this time. There was probably about 30 to 45 of us, and I think it was only like 7 NVGs. And
share.
Yeah. So like we would have to like share depending on who was going on missions and what was happening, and very few people had Rhino mounts to attach the NVG, so you were hand holding it. So it was it.
Or if you had it, you were just like, I've got it.
Yeah,
exactly. No,
exactly. Yep. It was more for the Humvee drivers and the gunners and the Humvees and stuff like that. And if we were basically supporting an entrenched position, we could use it while we're just sitting in the trench to scan and look to see if anything is coming at us, or if we're doing like a recce job, a reconnaissance job, and we need to see what's going on out there while we're doing reconnaissance, we would pull out the NVG, or we had a help also to where we could look. But so really that, I mean, we were pretty kitted good, pretty decent.
Nice. So what was it like that the next 2 months there on like the front lines? What were the missions like, and what were you guys experiencing and doing?
Yeah.
And so the first week I was there, that was getting kitted out, and then the Ukrainians there, they don't know who the foreigners are. We don't know who they are. So they kind of run us through some training to see if we actually know what we say we know. So we go to the Yeah,
refresh your skills and prove you know what you're doing.
It is basically, went to the range, made sure that everybody knew how to load, unload, show clear, and shoot an AK-47. We had to show that we could do, bounding drills, movement to and from contact, and then as well as make sure that we could accurately shoot the rifle. So, we put out like this big steel piece of metal, approximately 45, 50 meters out, and we would sit there and just do, just up, down shooting drills. And I ended up becoming basically, for hearing this, a shooting instructor for all the foreigners and some of the Ukrainians. While I was there, I ended up just being the better shot of multiple people, most of the guys out there. So I would sit there and teach how to shoot better drills, how to, hold their hands or their arms, how to walk and shoot at the same time, basically how to roll your everything like that. That way you're not bouncing so much when you're shooting and walking.
Right. Good Groucho walk.
So basically, exactly. Basically how to instead of shooting all the way up like this, exposing yourself, get nice, tight, small. That way you're a small target, but you can also basically glide on the ground while you're shooting and engaging.
And not trip.
So I ended up exactly. Yeah. So I ended up becoming basically the marksman instructor for my unit. So for that week, continuously, but for that week, it was mostly just every day going to the range, shooting, movement drills, different stuff like that. And what sucked is, other guys in our unit that's at our base are going out on missions at night. They'll be going on missions, and we're sitting there like, yo, can we go? And they're like, no, man, not yet. You're like, fuck. So 1 week when all you do is go on missions ends up feeling like a month, and it was only a week. Especially when other guys are around you, going out, having fun, shooting people, getting shot at, bringing back prisoners of war and shit like that. And you're just sitting there like twiddling your thumbs and eating the food that the Ukrainian housekeepers would make us, because we actually had people, locals that would come in and cook us breakfast and lunch every day, and then supper was leftover lunch. They'd make a shit ton for lunch. It would just be leftovers. Nice. But yeah, so after a week, we finally get told, hey, we're going on a mission. And we're like, hell yeah. And so this is the very, very first mission that I got to go on. And we were a small element, a part of a huge assault plan. And basically, I think we were like the third element or something like that, which I understand why they had it staged out the way they did, but I think it could have been better, because everybody's assault required the previous unit accomplishing their task, but also if follow-on unit didn't complete their task, they were your relief and your supporting element, basically for sectors of fire and stuff like that for the previous unit, if that makes sense. So like Tom, like let's say you're the first unit, you go, you accomplish your goal. You need Chuck to then go and accomplish his goal, because if Chuck doesn't accomplish his goal, then you don't have fire support on other elements and stuff like that. Right. So once Chuck completes his task, then I'm allowed to go and complete my task. So on and so forth. Well, it was the fourth. We were the third or fourth element. I don't remember in that daisy chain of events. Right. And so we're hearing the artillery go off. We're hearing tanks. We're hearing small arms in the distance and doing different stuff. And we were waiting on the radio for the go ahead for us to assault our trench, the trench position that we were supposed to assault. And we were supposed to assault through. It was roughly 200 meters of open field to assault this position. Okay. Yeah. So your boy's not feeling too good about it, but it is what it is. When you're in an open field and you have to take the next tree line, and the only way to get there is through an open field. Wow. You got to do what you got to do. But that's why we needed the next element to do their job. That way they could lay down supporting and suppressive fire while on the trench that we're assaulting, while we bound across this 200 meters of open field. So we take the Humvees, we get infilled, and as we're getting infilled, we start taking IDF from artillery, indirect fire for the people who don't know acronyms. Indirect fire artillery. So shit's blowing up around us, just 100 meters, 50 meters, 75 meters, 25 meters, just everywhere. So we end up infilling, get dropped off. Well, the Ukrainian that was driving us pulled into one spot and just stops, and he doesn't tell us to get out or anything like that. I don't know. We roughly know where we're going, but not the exact drop-off point. So we're like, hey, is this the spot? And he's looking on his phone where the map is at, and he's looking. He's like, no. So he backs up and then drives forward even more, or backs up out of the trees and drives forward even more, probably another 200 meters or so. And then he pulls back into the trees, and then he starts yelling, get out. So, we all jump out and, disperse, get our spacing and everything like that. Still coming under IDF from the artillery. And, so then now we're sitting and waiting. We're in our tree line. We're sitting and waiting for the call, for the go ahead to assault.
Sure.
And we're sitting there for probably, the first 5 minutes we're sitting there. I got one of my buddies from Canada, and he'd been to Afghanistan and fought in Afghanistan and stuff. And while I'm laying in this tree line, just taking it all in, I can feel my body is shaking just with the adrenaline just pumping through my body and everything like that. The blood's going. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm like, I'm ready for it. I'm like, hell yeah, let's do this. And while I'm sitting there waiting, I look over at him. I said, hey man, I got a question for you. He's like, what's up, dude? I was like, yo, is it normal that I have a chub right now? Like I got a chubby. And he starts laughing, and he's like, what? I said, yo, bro, like it's not full, but like it's getting there, dude. Like I got a fucking chubby, and like artillery's blowing up 20 meters from us. You can feel the earth shake and everything like that. You get a little bit of the splash from the dirt and stuff like that. And he starts laughing. He goes, yeah, man, that's normal. That's normal. I was like, all right, good. I'm just glad I'm not a fucking weirdo over here. Right. But yeah. So first time, taking IDF and everything like that, your boy over there starts getting a fucking hard on. And I was like, whatever, it is what it is. So we sit there for probably about 45 minutes to an hour, just taking a lot of IDF. And next thing I know, our translator who has the radio, our commander and everything like that, he tells us, hey, mission scrubbed, we're exfilling. Apparently the team that was supposed to accomplish their task before us, they didn't accomplish their task, and there was too much IDF for them to be able to continue moving forward to accomplish their task in a timely manner for us to be able to assault through our task. So we start exfilling again under IDF, So basically, we just do the Humvees haven't come yet. We a couple of Humvees run back and forth behind the line that on the road that we're on, basically going and picking up wounded guys from the other unit way down yonder that did do the assault. So we just start doing a patrol out, and I think there was about 10 of us, just one big long patrol all the way out, and we probably walk 500 meters or so, and then all of a sudden, our pickup Humvee is coming up from hauling ass, stops at the front of our patrol, and everybody starts diving in. Well, it already had almost like a full bed of soldiers that had already picked up. So now we're trying to throw 10 more bodies with. Every one of us has an AT weapon, our rifle, and a day pack, because we were supposed to be there for roughly 24 to 48 hours. So extra ammunition, food, shit like that to sustain us for 20 to 48 hours. So this pickup bed is getting fucking full quick. So we're all jumping in, trying to jump on it while we're taking IDF still. And for the people that don't know, the last thing you want to do is just be a sitting target while they're trying to call in artillery on you, because all they got to do is get lucky once. That's it. So the best thing to do is just get the fuck out of there as quick as possible. So we're diving in. I dive on, and another buddy of mine I was the last one in the patrol, so I was the last one in the vehicle.
Mhm.
Me and another buddy, we jump in and we're on the side of the pickup of the Humvee, the truck bed. And so we're not actually in the bed. We're on that big flat part where the wheel is, basically, you know, that long flat
Right.
edge. And
Mhm.
the front of my body is facing into the back of the truck, but my backpack and my Matador rocket is on my back, and it's hanging outside of the truck, basically pulling me out of the truck
Oh,
while we're
geez.
hauling ass. Yeah, while we're hauling ass down this dirt road. So one of the Ukrainians, he reached up and grabbed me by my plate carrier up at the front, and I'm
Mhm.
just kind of like not onto his arm while we're hitting these huge fucking, you know, mortar holes and dirt road and shit like
Oh,
that.
fuck.
So we're hauling ass, and I happen to look up, and I see a drone is chasing us. Like,
Uh-oh.
oh fuck. I'm like, oh fuck, we can't stop. If we and I don't know, I can't tell if this drone has, you know, munitions on it or not,
Right.
but I definitely know it's not one of ours because of how he's chasing us, like beelining it, hauling ass as fast as he can to catch up to us. So
Oh,
I'm thinking it
gosh.
has munitions. So I start hauling out to the guys, telling them, hey guys, if we stop, y'all get ready to just fucking disperse like instantly, because this thing's gonna be dropping fucking munitions into the back of the truck. And for people that don't know, Russians use drones to drop grenades and
Mhm.
small mortar shells and stuff like that
Right.
for you know, to kill the enemy. That's what I was thinking instantly. So we're on ass. I'm just watching this drone, and I holler out at some of my buddies, and they're watching the drone also now. And finally, I guess we got out of its range, or it just stopped chasing us or whatever. But you see it just sit there and watch us while we drive off. And I was like, "Whoo, man, that was a close one."
Damn, dude.
I was like, damn, that was. But he was hauling ass to catch up to us, and luckily he didn't. But then we get back to the last village that we left, or we came through to assault, and we're still that the art we can tell now that the artillery is getting closer to us. So the trucks had to go pick up some more people that were left out in the field. So we go to this basement of one of the houses, and we just kind of stage in there for approximately about another 45 minutes, an hour or so. And then the trucks come back, pick us up, and we all head back to base. But yeah, that was my first mission.
Well,
that
you
was
asked
my
for
first mission.
you asked for it.
Yeah, 100%. And I loved every second.
Right,
Wow,
right.
it was crazy. It was adrenaline packed. It was fun. I loved the shit out of it.
Dude, drones chasing you, that's fucking wild.
Yeah.
So why didn't anybody try to shoot at it? Was it too small, too fast and zippy?
Yeah, it's one of those little DJI Maverick 3 drones or whatever they call them, whatever. So I mean, it would have been small to hit with, you know, just shooting at it with an AK. But also we're all like laying on top of each other and laying on our guns, you know, and everything's just it wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been possible to shoot at it or anything like that. Best thing to do is just haul ass to get away from it, and if the truck stops, go ahead and fucking dismount and fucking disperse and get away from everybody.
Run away.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just completely disperse and get as much distance between you and the next guy. That way, if it is you that the drone tags, you're not getting somebody else with you. It's just you.
Right.
But yeah, that was the first mission, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And then I did a lot of missions. In that unit, we did a lot of reconnaissance. Of different tree lines and different villages where Russians were at, and then we would, you know, assault. What we did reconnaissance on. There was this mission right here. This mission was the start of why I decided to leave Ukraine the first time, leave this unit. So we get told a tree line that we're supposed to go do some recon on, possible Russian OP in front of it, about 100 meters maybe, in front of this tree line. And we're supposed to sit there, do some reconnaissance on this tree line. If there's an OP, a Russian OP or observation, then eliminate the OP and just do reconnaissance on that area where the Russians are at, where they're moving and stuff like that.
Sure.
Sit there until the infantry shows up, essentially. So it could have been that day, it could have been the next day. Just hold the tree line until infantry shows up. So we were supposed to get there under the cover of darkness, so at night. I think we started stepping off our friendly trench roughly at 1 in the morning, 0100, 0200, give or take. But as we are walking through our friendly trench to then continue on, because we don't stay in the trenches like that. We would literally go out there, do missions, stuff like that, and then come home. The time that we would stay in the trench was because we're getting ready to do an assault, or reconnaissance, or we just did an assault or reconnaissance and we're waiting to be exfilled, or we were supporting trench because they either are about to receive heavy contact from the Russians, or they just received heavy contact and they need some extra manpower. So basically QRF for these positions. So as we're walking through, our translator, we stop, our translator talks to the commander of that trench at that time, basically gets the lay of the land, where friendly is at, Russian elements are at, what's going on in the AO before we step onto the battlefield. And he comes back to it, hey guys, a minefield over here that we have to walk through. And we're like, what? They're like, yeah, there's a minefield we have to walk through. Like, is it demined? Is it marked? Is there a path for us to walk through it?
Can you provide us some more? Is there more to this story?
Exactly. So we ask him, and he goes, no, man, it's not demined. We're calling for an engineer now to come demine it. And we're like, okay, cool, yeah, because I'm not walking through a minefield at night with no MBGs or thermals or anything. Even if I had an MBG or thermal, I wouldn't want to walk through a minefield because you're not really going to be able to see even thermals or MBGs.
The depth perception is so fucked.
Exactly. Yeah. And we just had the monocle ones too. We didn't even have, we're not fucking, spec ops and stuff like that. We're fucking quad nods, and stuff like that, or even with the dual nods, just the mono one eye. So depth perception is horrible. So anyway, we sit there and wait. I think the engineer got there around 04:05 in the morning. He goes and he was instructed to lay mines, not demine. So he doesn't have a demining kit with him. He has a backpack full of mines. Yeah, he has a backpack full of mines to lay, but none to demine. But so what he ends up doing is he ends up marking a path for us. So he was at least able to do that. He marked a path for us. But that means that we now have to wait for sunrise to infill into our position to recon and everything like that.
Oh, great. There goes the element of the cover of darkness.
Exactly. Yeah. We're supposed to move in the cover of darkness, and now we're moving in first light. Like
it's like dusk.
Yeah, it's dawn. Right. Yeah, dawn. Like very, very first light is when we start we step up off. So we walk the so where we were going was 1 kilometer in front of us, and then about another kilometer back the way we came. So basically, the two tree lines were parallel from each other, and we went to the far end of our tree line, which was the far end of their tree, the tree line that we were reconning, walked a kilometer, and then hung a right and walked the kilometers, dispersing ourselves across this tree line to do reconnaissance in front of us and to the neighboring tree line to the right of us. So we get in there. We didn't see a Russian OP or anything like that. So we kind of set up shop. There was a small little ditch on the back side of the trench line, basically closer to friendly position. So we kind of just sit in this little ditch. That way, we're not sitting on top of the ground, and we have it's very minimal cover, but something's better than nothing. So we get into there. We set up shop. and just kind of hang out. You know, we can hear Russian artillery and some type of roughly 500 to 800 meters in front of us. I had more guys because I was in the rear of the patrol, so I had more guys to my right, fanned out probably another 500 to 700 meters to where they could see a better position on the Russians. But yeah, there was a Russian element, artillery and mortar unit right there, 800 meters. So we call it in, you know, let them know. And next orders we got was hang out till the infantry gets there. Cool, we can do that. So we're hanging out. The guy next to me, we're on a rotating system, you know, take naps and stuff like that because we've been up 24 hours now. So we're taking naps, eating little snacks out of our day bag, and you know, just hanging out, just waiting.
All right, what do you have in your? I'm totally curious. What would you have in your snacks for your day bag?
I had granola bars. Because one, they were absolutely delicious, but two, they were high in fiber and calories. There was a lot of calories in them. So I knew, you know, going on mission and fighting that I need all the calories that I can get.
Right.
So that's I always had a shit ton of granola bars.
Granola bars, yeah.
Yep, I'd have all kinds of granola bars and then little chocolate pieces of candy and stuff like that for sugar and stuff like that. Okay. But yeah, just hanging out, and then we get word that the infantry is coming. Infantry will probably be there around 1 o'clock. So hang out until they get there. We're like, all right, cool, bet. And
I would have laughed if you're like, I have fucking omelet MREs.
Oh, dude, I would have gone hungry. I just get hungry. No, yeah, fuck omelet MREs are disgusting. No, I would have stayed hungry. But so yeah, about 12:30 or so. Again, I'm pulling rear security, and I see movement down in the tree line, and we're in no man's land. So anybody could be walking up on us. You know, we're literally anybody. So they're watching, and I see movement. So you know, I notify the guy just a little bit down for me, like, hey man, we got movement, pass it on. And now I'm just waiting. You know, I don't know if it's Russians or if it's our infantry, who it is. And I'm watching them, and then I see a yellow band, and I'm like, all right, cool, bet. That's friendly. So he still hasn't seen me yet, and I'm just kind of, you know, tucked behind a tree, and I'm doing my, you know, little secret squirrel shit, you know, doing recon. And I'm probably about 10 of them walk out into the open tree line, and then finally the front guy sees me and like immediately like raised his rifle real quick and is sitting there. I was like, oh fuck, dude. I was like, if you start lighting us up, dude, I'm gonna shoot back. It's that simple. So I sit there and we so my unit, because we do a lot of reconnaissance, we don't wear armbands and stuff like that because we don't want anything to give our positions away. So I was like, the best I can think of is stick my rifle out, just not in an aggressive position, but like horizontally, like just stick it out. That way he knows that it's not a threat. So I do that, and he sees it, and he waves everybody in. They all down to where the front of my patrol is, where you know, my team leader's at the time, everything. And I was like, cool, infantry's here. And there was probably about 30 of them. And they're bringing, you know, I saw them bring javelins, huge fucking machine guns, you know, shovels, everything. Like they were there to fucking set up shop. And, you know, that was their position. So we start packing our day bags. We're like, all right, cool, time to fucking go home. Shit, we might catch fucking supper at the house. Hell yeah, you know, and not have to fucking eat and wait till the morning. You know, we might catch supper. And so we start packing up, and about 30 minutes go by and we haven't moved. We're like, what the fuck? About 45 minutes go by, and we did chain the bridge up to the front where the radio is at, and the team leader, and like, yo man, why aren't we leaving? Apparently that wasn't our infantry. That was, I think, like 2nd Battalion's infantry or something like that. And we were waiting for our specific infantry. Yeah. Uh-oh. And I was like, oh man, this is fucking dumb. But I was like, whatever, man, you know, okay. Orders are orders, you know, you got to fucking sit tight. But I was pissed because when they came in very sloppy. They weren't trying to hide under, you know, tree coverage. You know, it was very, very sloppy. And all morning we can hear artillery coming and going from both sides, ours incoming and outgoing, from ours and theirs. We hear drones buzzing over us, but they're never stopped on top of us. They're literally just passing. And after the infantry came through, we started having drones sit on top of us. And I was like, that's not good. That's not good at all. Like they know where we're at. Like drones are sitting on top of us. I don't know if they're ours or not, but like if I hear drone, I just automatically think Russia. Like I always think the worst. And so I'm starting to, you know, pass some messages like, hey guys, like we're probably about to start taking some heavy fucking artillery and shit like that. And the Russians also have a couple of BMPs and a tank about a kilometer ahead of us for their QRF, about a kilometer, maybe a kilometer and a half in the next village in front of us for their QRF, for their positions out there. So we're like, hey man, like y'all get ready for a fucking fight, you know, because it might happen. And sure enough, fucking we hear some heavy small arms come off from my team leaders at, and we're trying to figure out like, hey man, is that outgoing? Is that incoming? Like is that us, or is that another element a little bit further down? Like what's going on? And as I'm talking to the guy next to me, all of a sudden I hear a crack right next to my face, and a little bit of dirt pops up in the ditch that I was in. And we're like, oh no, they're definitely shooting at us. Like that's definitely at us. So we know the trend that they're in. You know, they're 500 to 800 meters in front of us. So a few of us, you know, we just start shooting rounds back into that general direction. You know, if anything, you know, it gets them up a little bit. They start having rounds crack over their face. Also, we don't know exactly where they're at, but we have an educated guess. So it'd be, you know, indirect fire at their positions. And we start at that exact same time, we start taking heavy artillery, cluster munitions, drop it on top of us. And then all of a sudden, we start hearing like a 20 millimeter cannon open up. And now we're trying to figure,
you start
like,
to hear a 20 millimeter cannon start to open up. Yeah.
And it's not hitting my position yet, but we're trying to figure out, because we're out in the fields and stuff like that, you know, shit kind of echoes a little bit. Fuck, is that us? Is that them? You know, and we're trying to think. I was like, from my understanding, we don't have any armor elements to support us, so that can't be ours. And
so was it the Russians?
So about that time, once everything's kind of like coming to light, and like, you know, again, you know, half my team is, you know, several, you know, about 100 to 200 meters down from me. So nothing is quick communication. And about this time, all of a sudden from my right hand, I hear everybody running through the brush, screaming, you know, go, go, go in English and in Ukrainian. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what the fuck we're doing. We're getting out of there. And we're all hauling ass back the way we came, while coming under heavy fucking artillery and munitions. And these 20 millimeter cannons are getting louder, and shit is blowing up right in front of me. I see trees are fucking there, and then they're not. So we're hauling ass, and, you know, I'm carrying my fucking my Matador AT weapon. You know, I got my rifle in my hand, and then I got my day pack with all my extra ammunition and shit like that. And I thought to myself at first, like, I was scared shitless. I was like, don't get hit, don't get hit, don't get hit. Because we also have small arms getting shot into our tree line also. So we're getting fucked. We're getting raked is what they're doing. They're just raking the tree line with everything. And I was scared shitless. I was completely scared shitless. And then we dropped to the ground real quick, because they were getting the IDF and the 20 millimeter cannon was getting pretty accurate. Like it wasn't in pretty good. So we got laid down on the ground. And we're trying to come up with a quick game plan real quick on what we're going to do and try to figure some shit out. And in my head, like right then and there, I was like, you know what, man? If you get tagged by anything that's going on right now, you're not going to feel it. Like you're going to be running, right, and then you won't be running. Like you won't be here.
Yeah, you would just be running, so and then like
boop, boop, done. Yeah, exactly.
Keep that thought.
Mm-hmm.
Keep that thought, because we just hit time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna pause.
Yeah, we'll go for a
and then we're gonna pick it back up.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys are gonna have to wait till next week. This is how we get through our Christmas vacation, by the way.
With a crazy climactic.
We are wishing you. So we're wishing you Merry Christmas, and we're wishing you Happy New Year, because that's when this will be out. I wanted to end. We'll talk about, usually we do a year in review, and so we'll do that when we come back. But this is it's been fun. It's been a good time. We're gonna see you guys for the climactic conclusion of serving in Ukraine when you go there from the Marine Corps with Bryce, that guy Sleazy. So we will catch you next week. Chuck, what do you got for us?
Hey, thank you everyone for listening. If you'd like to support us, please follow the podcast. Whatever podcast platform you subscribe to, like and share all that stuff, all that good mumbo jumbo. Follow us on our Instagram and on our Facebook. Our Instagram is @war_stories_official, and our Facebook @War Stories Podcast. Hit the link in the bio. You can get to our website, all the socials, all the podcast stuff, even the YouTube. The website's going to be booking.warstories. I'm sorry, pause. That's the email. It's going to be www.warstoriesofficial.com. You can grab some gear and some merch. And then if you feel like you have a story you want to share, want to be featured on the show, go to booking.warstories@gmail.com. Again, that is booking.warstories@gmail.com. I can get you booked. We're always looking for law enforcement, firefighters, medics, veterans, corrections, dispatchers, and nurses. If you have a friend who you think would be a great fit, let them know about us. Give them that booking email. Thank you for the support. Stay safe.
And until our next episode, come home with your shield or on it.